Hello everybody, this is to go with 2.2.2, the visual design analysis assignment. I have this as an example for you guys because it's kind of tough to understand how I want that thing filled out. I've sent, there's a blank one for the kettle. This is one that was done as an example, and it's been filled in with some example, how you might want to fill these things in. The piece that they're looking at for their example is this sort of red and black coffee maker. And so they're asking, for example, how is line used in this thing? And if you look at the line, they've just written down that it has curved surfaces. That thing didn't have very many straight lines that you could see. Most of it was curved. When they asked about color, they said it's bright red, there are black accents, and it has a white mug in the pictures of it. For value, they didn't put anything in there, but value is about relative lights and darks, and a lot of the value in this comes from the light hitting it. And so you've got light spots where the lights have been reflected, and dark spots where it hasn't. And on the shiny, smooth plastic surfaces, you have that difference. On the more matte surfaces, it's not as much value difference. When they ask about the shape, this whoever filled this in says they saw circles and ellipses when they looked at it. And the form, that is like the 3D solids that you see. They said it's cylindrical. The solid forms are created by ellipses. That's how they put it. It's as simple as that. When asked about space, space is sort of the space around the object and what do you notice about it? And one thing they said is that there's a concave area. There's a part that comes in. Let me find the picture again and gesture with my mouse instead of my hands. And it comes in, and there's that gap in there where the mug goes. That is the space that they've noted here in this thing. For texture, there's smooth plastic, there's soft mesh, I'm not entirely sure what they mean by that, and there's bumpy plastic. That's what they saw as far as texture is concerned. Now they go to the balance. They don't have to put balance. Every single one of these don't have to fill in for balance, but as many as you want to, at least one or two of them. I mean, give me one or two in every single row after the first row here. So balance. They put formal balance and symmetry under the shape, the form, and the space. So I guess when you're looking at it from the front, it's got that symmetry right down the front right there. When you're looking from the top, it's got the symmetry right down that top view, down the center line. And that symmetry is because basically the form is the same. It's kind of the whole 3D part of it is symmetrical. So the 2D shapes that make up that form, that your views are also symmetrical. The line and curve is symmetrical. The value is symmetrical as long as the light's directly above it, not on one side more than the other. There are a lot of ways it has that formal symmetry when you look at it from the front or the back of it, or the top of it, I guess, or the bottom. So that's why they filled in a few of these, just said it's got formal balance and symmetry. Emphasis, they did not put anything down for emphasis, but when I look at this, I kind of think that that curve that goes across the back of it, that's the part that's emphasized because of that red. Red will draw your eye to it. The red has a little bit of a brighter value to it. It pops a bit more. There's also a red button right there that brings that out to me. So when you're talking about the emphasis, that red is really what's being emphasized more than the dark or the black. If I were to fill it in, I might say it's a color thing, and it's that the red pops more than the other pieces. Contrast. They said, hey, the red housing contrasts with the ceramic mug. It also kind of contrasts with that black inner part of it there. And they say the texture on the base is contrasted with the smooth sides. Just how are two parts of the design visually or potentially tactilely different? Rhythm. They saw a regular rhythm that's repeated raised circles on the base top. And my guess what they meant by that is it's got this little pattern on the base next to where the mug is. It's a bunch of raised circles, probably to help your mug not slip around on there. And that's one way that it saw a pattern. It saw a rhythm. It's a regular rhythm because they're evenly spaced the whole way along there. I'd also say there's a bit of a radial rhythm by these three lines on the top of it that are sort of centered around an imaginary midpoint down here. But that's just me. That's what I would say. There's also to be there's a little bit of rhythm if you look at the repeated curve here, and it's repeated again on the outside here. That's a repeated feature, a repeated curve, and go into the line column. So I might fill that in if I were making one of these with more of these filled in. proportion. What they said is just the shapes are proportional. They put that underneath the shape column. And if you're thinking about the rhythm, the repeated rhythm here that I was saying, I saw this curve here, that curve there. That's a repetition. It's repeated. And it's proportional because they're kind of all, it scales up in the same way it scales down. It looks like it's not like there's it's not like they're all the same exact size, that curve that it has, but they scale up nicely. It's not like all of a sudden one end of it has a really, really curved, tightly curved part and the other end doesn't anymore. And it's just right, just like that. That's, fudge it a little bit if you need to, but it's proportional. Unity. Unity, again, if you remember, that's just having a consistent design element the whole way through. It says one thing that's consistent is the use of the elliptical shapes. If you have the flip top, it's got an ellipse in it, the shower head and the switch. The shower head, which isn't pictured here, the shower head is on the inside of it. Does it have a picture of the inside in here? No, it doesn't. It might in the next section. But when you flip up the top of a coffee maker, if you flip this part of the lid up, if I were able to flip that up, look at this lovely 3D thing they've made. If I were able to flip that up and look inside the coffee maker, let's see if I can find a generic one. Which is a picture. Here's just a generic picture. This part here, this arm, that's what they call the shower head. What it is it's where it brings the water up through and drains it down on top of the grounds in there. So there's a water reservoir. There's usually a basket you can put your coffee filter in. And this shower head here is where the pump comes up. The pumped water comes up and the pressure goes through and it drips down through the coffee and brews the coffee. So that right there is when they talk about the shower head. That's what they say. That's what they mean. There's a shower head inside that. It's not like a shower head in your shower. But they say, yeah, there's elliptical shapes in the flip up top. There's a shower head has an ellipse, I guess, when you open it up. The switch itself is an ellipse. If you look at the side of it here, it's an ellipse-shaped ellipse. It's an oval. They also say it's got a consistent smooth texture. The texture is kind of the same throughout. It doesn't go from like really rough looking to suddenly smooth. Economy. It says it has clean flowing lines. There are no extraneous elements. That's under shape. The clean flowing lines is under the color. So the color and the shape of it is where they're seeing sort of unity. There's not a bunch of weird stuff sticking out. There's not a bunch of extra stuff that you don't need. There's no weird designs that are just extraneous. There's no switches that are popped out on one side. It kind of looks all sleek, all smooth. It's all cohesive. So that's kind of what I'm looking for here. Only about that kettle thing. Let's see if I've got that opened up over here. This is the item I have in the classroom. It says Farberware, sort of steel. It's an electric kettle, and I've had that in the classroom the last couple days, and we're going to continue analyzing it as we need to. And there's also a little video here that I've linked. It's going to pop up in when I save it so you guys can see it. It's a little video that has a guy who's showing you how it works and kind of giving you some more angles, like looking down on the top of it and stuff like that as he moves the camera around. Because all that I could find are, these promotional shots. And I left it at school, so I can't go take any more pictures right now. If I can, then I will maybe update this assignment. All right, so your blank copy, I've linked it. It's called IAD 222 Visual Elements kettle.pdf. It's right in this assignment. You print that out. It'll be, or if you want to, you can I can get you an editable Word document if you need me to. But yeah, print it out and tell me how you see line used in this guy. Is it primarily curved? Is it a lot of what is it? Oh man, that's actually not the same one as one I have. I'm going to have to come back and edit this picture. That's not exactly the same one I've got. It's very similar. It fooled me when I first downloaded them, but that's not the right shape of the handle. Anyways, I may edit this assignment slightly more before you all see it officially. But that's basically what we're doing. We're going to fill in that little visual design thing. Like you see here in this example, they didn't fill every single one of these boxes in. That'd be a lot of boxes to fill in for something that should be just a relatively quick assignment. So fill the first row up, like left value empty, but fill the first row up and pick 2 or so in every of these rows down here. Don't leave a row blank. Tell me where you think the emphasis might be. don't have to fill the same boxes that they filled. You can say, oh, if there's balance, if you see symmetry in use of a color, for example, you can fill it in under here instead of filling these three in. It's, it's what you see and what you can tell about these features. Okay? I'm going to head back to my recording. I'm going to stop the recording. I'll see y'all later.